Good evening, my friends. This is Paul, and today I'm going to be reviewing Challenger Pack 7 of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate's DLC, otherwise known as the one with the Minecraft characters in it. Now, unlike the other packs that I've reviewed so far, well, most of them, I should say, I have never actually played Minecraft, so my knowledge of this is mostly going to be hearsay, watching my sister play it, and just generalized information as opposed to gushing about my personal feelings and trying to piece everything together based on what I know about it. That being said, I do know a lot about Minecraft, so I'd like to think this review will still turn out pretty okay. Also, my footage got damaged while I was editing this, so if this is in a slightly different order and format than what you're used to, I hope you'll forgive me for spending over an hour trying to capture footage and then like half of it being corrupted, and how frustrating that can be. So, Steve, at first glance, doesn't look like the kind of character that would be a natural fit for Smash Brothers. Henceforth, I will be referring to him as Alex because that's one of the alternate skins, and I prefer that one the most, just to make it a lot easier. The simplistic design of Minecraft, which itself was inspired by the team at Mojang having a very low budget, has been wonderfully preserved here. And a lot of people have even wondered, is this a joke? Is this the real deal? Well, after playing with Alex for far longer than I would like to admit, I unfortunately have to say that they're half right, half wrong. Because while I liked the way the Minecraft content was executed here, Alex as a character, I wouldn't say she was overwhelming or underwhelming, but very, very hard to get used to. So let's start with the basics. Alex's basic maneuver is crafting the ground at her feet to mine for materials just like you would in a regular Minecraft match. Depending on the floor of the arena will determine what materials Alex will get when she crafts. So if you're in, for example, a stage that has wooden floors, you'll get a lot more wood. You can probably guess which stage offers which just by simple deduction, which makes so that the stage selection will actually have a huge impact on how your character plays out, which is a really neat concept, and it kind of validates the decision in this game to put stage selection before fighter selection, which is breaking a lot of traditions in the Smash Bros. Universe. However, if you press the neutral special button in the air, Alex instead will place a block in midair, depending on the cheapest material she has in her possession, which you can kind of sort of gauge by looking at the meter above her profile picture. This is actually a move that I didn't use a whole lot because it just seems counterintuitive to stand still to put blocks in my place. I would think that from my previous experience with Smash Brothers, that would be the kind of thing that I would use as either an up special or a side special. The few times that I did use it felt more like something that tournament people and the competitive Smash scene would exploit to try to really prove, oh no, Steve is broken, we must have a patch to fix this. Yeah, you can't please everyone. Overall, I think this is really cool, and I feel like this would make for some very interesting updates to the stage builder if they decide to go that route in the near future. Hey, they've updated it once, so you never know. I've always said that I would like it if there was more Nintendo Legacy content in there, so you never know if Minecraft could influence that going forward. Alex's side special is using a rail cart, which of course is going to depend on the materials you have. If you have, I think they're called magma stones, you can even make it so that the railroad tracks are more powerful. However, the frequency at which you get magma stones, I don't really know how to answer that. It seems like they're pretty common in almost every stage. However, most of the stages I've been playing on as Alex have been the Minecraft world one, which we'll get into once we talk about the stage itself. The railroad track makes for a pretty decent recovery option. Dare I say, I actually like it better than Alex's actual recovery, and it makes for some interesting strategies with how you defeat your opponents. Now, as far as the up special, that basically uses a glider. You know how it was a big reveal in Super Smash Bros. For Wii U and 3DS that none of the characters who could glide in Brawl can no longer glide? Well, apparently Alex was the exception to that rule, as that's her big upward recovery option. However, it's not really as effective as you would think because you don't have that much control over the trajectory of her glide. It gives her some vertical height, but you're not going to be able to wildly zoom her around the stage like you might have been imagining. Either that or I'm just really bad at her. Scratch that, I know I'm really bad at her, so I'll definitely have to get some practice in one of these days. Finally, her down special is another thing that I didn't find too natural to use, was placing TNT on the ground. You can also set a switch so that either you or an opponent can step on it, and so it's kind of like Link's remote bombs, in a manner of speaking. However, because it was so counterintuitive to use, and because they didn't explode right away, I mostly resorted to regular old hacking and slashing. Before I get into Alex's normal moveset, I'd like to briefly discuss her final smash, which is called House of Boom. When I showed it to my best friend, he believed that it was actually a reference to the fact that sometimes players will build an obstacle course or a house to trap another player in, and then they'll fill it with exploding creepers as a prank. And apparently, according to Sakurai, that's exactly what they had in mind. Basically, if you get hit by the catapult, then one of the characters within the blast radius will get knocked into a house, in my opinion, using a very, very poorly done animation, and a bunch of creepers and TNTs will appear, and the house will explode, with Alex just sitting there chilling and eating a steak. Now, other characters can be launched, but just like with Banjo and Kazooie's Mighty Gingernator, only one character can actually be in the House of Boom. It's another cinematic final smash. But at least with this one, it sort of makes up for it by being in the Minecraft style, whereas all the other fighters' past characters have received the Super Smash Ultimate makeover. Now, Steve is a very short-range fighter. I broke my own rule. I was supposed to be saying Alex. She doesn't really jump a whole lot. She doesn't really have projectiles. Even her basic jump is like the worst in the game. It even makes Little Mac look like a gymnast. Her attacks are so short-ranged and non-effective that you kind of have to wildly make a whole bunch of combinations of moves in order for her to be effective in the match. Now, if that were the only element to her character, I don't think I would have been bothered as much. However, just like in the regular game of Minecraft, her attacks will break the more materials you consume. And when you're in the thick of the match, it's not always the easiest thing in the world to do resource management. Now, I didn't have a problem with this happening with Robin, because Robin still had quite a wide variety of regular attacks at their disposal. And so even if you ran out of spells, you could still use swords. And if 11 sword broke, you could use the bronze sword. However, sometimes Alex will just be flat out unable to do an input because you ran out of materials mid-match. Now, you do craft materials, and you can repair your tools by holding down the special move button when you're next to the crafting table, but the crafting table has to be in front of you, which the game doesn't always read my inputs when I try to craft. And then also you have to make sure it's your crafting box and not that of your opponent's. Again, I'm not entirely sure if that works all the time, but it did seem like I wasn't able to trade crafting boxes with another opponent. You can hold down B while you have your shield out to summon the table, but sometimes it falls off the edge of the stage, and sometimes even then Alex would go into a crafting animation when I actually wanted her to repair one of her tools. I wish there was a way to patch this out, or at the very least make it so that it's more obvious when something is about to break. So I'm not like, why is she not doing her downward attack? This just feels so like my controller's broken or something. Now, in fairness, since I have not played Minecraft, this could just be a natural thing that Minecraft players are used to, and because I don't have familiarity with the franchise, it's just me acting like a typical noob. However, being a Smash player first and foremost, I find that it just doesn't gel well with my typical style of playing Smash. And so I personally think that Alex is the weakest character revealed so far from a move standpoint. However, that's not to say I regret the entire Challenger Pack, because unlike the vast majority of people on the internet, especially on Twitter, I like to look at DLC in Smash Bros. For its entirety rather than just for the character. So when it comes to the stage, it's called Minecraft World. And it looks pretty much exactly like how you would expect it would. Everything is done with perfect squares, and there's even movement in the background. As opposed to being procedurally generated like the original Minecraft game is, the 6 biomes, or environmental settings, as someone would call them, they're all predetermined, and even though there are button shortcuts that you can do on the stage selection to predetermine your biome, those were not explained in the presentation, nor did I try them, because it seemed a little bit counterintuitive. Like, why not just select them from a menu, or something along those lines? Why do I have to use button inputs when we've been putting up with that since the original Smash Brothers just to turn off the match? It just seems like, with all that Smash wants to simplify the fighting genre, it doesn't seem to know how to simplify menus. However, I really like Minecraft World. It looks really good with the Smash engine in place, with some really impressive lighting effects when the stage changes to nighttime, and the lighting from the torch feels much more realistic. I also really like how when you break the blocks, they're gone for good, so it doesn't have that artificial, it's a video game, it'll reappear eventually because logic. Well, I also really like the music selection. I don't think it's spectacular. It certainly doesn't beat out what Banjo-Kazooie had. But I think overall it was handled really nicely. Of the 7 tracks that Mojang provided, 6 of which are remixes, which makes this the highest ratio of a third-party rep's remixes over original tracks list. 2 of them are from Minecraft Dungeons, which actually just came out this year, so it's amazing that Sakurai and his team were able to get music from such a recent game, although, in fairness, those were also both remixes. There was a remix of a song from Minecraft Earth, which, if I'm doing my research right, was actually a mobile spin-off, and the rest, despite what Sakurai said to the inclusion, are actually from the original Minecraft. But to my knowledge, they're not actually the world themes, because those were really, really peaceful, and they're actually based on mini-games. So there's Clockwork Crafter, which is in its original form, and that's a really good tune, in my opinion. And all the rest are spectacularly remixed. I don't think any of them were mind-blowing or going to be like some of my favorite Smash tunes of all time, but they fit the Minecraft aesthetic really well, and they really help the Spirit events feel more like you're playing a Minecraft game, which is, of course, what Spirit Battles are supposed to do. They're supposed to invoke the spirit of whatever game Spirit is from. I can't really say how well the Spirit Battles are executed because I don't really get the references, but there's a good chunk of them, which is always nice, because if there's one thing I hate, it's when the series only get like 1 or 2 Spirit Battles, like Tokyo Mirage Sessions, for example. And I'm glad to see that Sakurai and his team were like, yeah, let's actually provide a full DLC Spirit board, because these guys want to face off against Minecraft enemies. Speaking of Minecraft enemies, you can actually play as Steve, Alex, Enderman, and Zombie in the character selection. And it's also cool that they even have voice lines, where Xander Mobus will say the names of each of the alternate skins. Overall, I would say that Steve as a character is not exactly my favorite, and it's definitely my least favorite of all of the Fighters Pass characters thus far. Although that's not really surprising very much, because I've never been a huge fan of characters that involve resource management, such as Olimar and Hero. However, I like the rest of the Minecraft content. I might not be blown away by it just because I'm not a Minecraft fan, but from what I understand, Sakurai and his team did the absolute best they could. And I don't want to downplay their efforts just because me as a non-fan doesn't quite get what everything is. I think the Minecraft aesthetic works really well in a Smash Brothers universe, and despite people saying why didn't they get a redesign, you could say the same thing of Mr. Game & Watch. So I guess you could say that's this game's version of him, as Relax Alex put it so nicely. So with that, since this pack came out in 2020, I would like to give it, I would probably have to say, a 16 out of 20. Control issues aside, with how I don't really like how Alex is really slow and requires a lot of managing your resources, I like the rest of the content. I enjoy the song list, even if I thought it was kind of short, and the Minecraft World stage has a lot of potential. And the fact that they could implement some of these additions into the stage builder makes me even more excited for the future of Smash Brothers. Oh, I also forgot to talk about their classic mode route, but there's not much to talk about because it's basically just a repeat of the Spirit Battles. And even if I wanted to talk about it, I probably wouldn't know the references, so it would probably be pointless. Either way, I think you should download it, but it's really all going to depend on how much you like the character. But even if you don't, I think you'll find the rest of the content well worth the $6. So with that, thank you very much for watching, and until the next time, keep the faith, stay epic, God bless, and let's see who rocks the block next. Bye-bye.